All right. So I ended the last video saying when we were talking about Sugar Sean. He just said he accepts what's going to happen in the fight, and he did well going in to fight Aljo. So that statement and thinking about it after I ended has got me wanting to do another one right now while it's on my mind. In a way that I've started looking at training, and it's accepting reality, and that's a big, big thing. So when I practice and when I train, I do most of my learning after the fact. Man, trying to think of a way to make this all make sense. But okay, so say I'm in a round with someone, and we do 3 minute round. And immediately after that round, this happens all the time, all across gyms across the country. The two people talk to each other and they'll exchange ideas, and you'll run into, at least for myself, you ever find yourself just talking and you're talking without thinking, and it's just words are just going everywhere? I feel like that happens a lot in those moments, and we're talking about what we did and everything. And this is getting into a lot of different ideas. You're not going to find, and maybe everyone's really got a different mind, but a lot of what's going on in, say it's grappling, wrestling around and doing all this, I can't really sit there and tell you what I did until hours later when I go and think back of what I did. And me saying that I did it doesn't mean that I actively, intently registered and fired the thought, hey, I need to do this, and then did it in the moment that it occurred. So I have to I learned I had to just kind of accept things for what they were. And I quickly learned, I wouldn't say quickly, I learned that I'll do things, whether I'm meaning to or not, they happen. And I have to accept that happens. And I think a lot of life in all of sports, people don't acknowledge this reality. They don't acknowledge that things are just happening on autopilot. Like, you'll hear about, say we go back and watch a legendary football play from 40 years ago. Some guy makes this amazing run with 2 seconds left. He makes like a 60-yard rush somehow, and he jukes this guy and that guy. And you go back and we interview him 30 years later. He's going to have all these details. Well, when this guy was coming, I did that and I did that. I shifted right, but then I stepped left, because if we think back on earlier in this season, that guy that was trying to tackle me, he had a sore right foot. And man, he didn't know all that shit when it was going on. Your brain can't process all that shit in the split second of the shifting, the tackle and all this. It just fucking happened. I don't care. I'm not going to even fucking debate it with nobody. That shit just happens, and you got to accept reality. Now, you practice juking and moving and whatever, and learning enough in the moments and making your body condition that you autopilot through all of that. So you want to autopilot your training. Like, you need to be in those, put yourself in those positions autopilotly, if that makes any sense. Too often, man, I hate saying names. I fucking hate saying names, because I don't want to sound like a kiss ass, because I feel like in this game, a lot of people try to affiliate themselves with other people to look good. And it's like, nobody looks good. You're either a good partner or you're not. You're either someone to work with or you're not. So it is what it is. But probably the most determined and most authentic and real fighter that I know, who puts in all the work and everything, I was asking him about a specific training method. I was getting ready for a fight. I had a specific thing I was doing. No one had ever instructed me on it before. But I knew that this guy did this stuff, so I asked him about it. And he told me. It was a beautiful conversation, because it was just extra reassurance that this guy really is out there putting in the work, and he don't need somebody telling him how. He's figuring it out on his own, and I admired that a lot. But as he explains it all to me, he says a couple times, don't cheat yourself, don't lie to yourself. And I've taken that, and if you've been training under me lately, you've probably heard me say, nobody is going to be more honest with you than yourself. And what my friend was telling me when he was saying don't cheat yourself and don't lie to yourself, man, if I'm going to go run a mile and I want to be under 10 minutes, and I go and I run that mile at 10 minutes and 15 seconds, and then I go and and I'm like, that's good enough. And then I go and tell my friends, yeah, I got that 10-minute mile. I did it. I'm cheating myself. I lied to myself. I did not better myself at all. As compared to, I run that 10 minute, 15-second mile when my goal was get 10 minutes or under. God, do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do this until I got it. I'm going to figure this out. Then I'm going to get better. There is no point in me twisting my stories. Here's a better way. Here's a better way. I run that mile. I'm shooting for the 10 minutes. Unfortunately, fate can't control it. My shoes come untied and I'm like tripping on it. I have to stop and tie my shoe. And then I finish at 10 minutes and 15 seconds. I still didn't hit that mile. No need to lie to myself. I got to get out there and do it again. That is accepting reality for what it is. I have to be able to look in the mirror and say, I didn't do that. If I want to do it, I got to do it again, and truly be honest with myself. Was me stopping and tying my shoes truly the reason I didn't get it? And if I'm honest with myself, it does not take me 15 seconds to tie my shoes. Not one shoe at all. So that wasn't the problem. I wasn't fast enough. There were other areas for me to analyze where I could have done things better. If I just pick up the pace, I would never ever improve by lying to myself. We have to be aware of that. And this isn't to be negative to anyone. Like, we as humans are going to naturally do that. And we have to be aware that we are doing that to ourselves and to our partners, our training partners. So from our own self perspective, we have to accept reality for what it is and not necessarily be dependent on what someone else is telling us, because they might not be being honest with themselves or accepting reality for what it is. And I know everyone I've trained with has seen this at some point where they go through a round, they have a great round, and then that other person at the end of is trying to tell them what they should have done or this or that, and it's like, it's awkward. We've got to learn to just accept that and move on. And I'm not saying anyone struggled with it or anything. I struggle with that because I'm really, really literal. But like, so much has gotten better in my training and in my progression when I'm honest with myself. I had a routine that someone taught me where basically I'm supposed to do this act or drill for a minute on and a minute off. I didn't find the progression in that. So I had to shift it and be honest with myself and change the time frame for what worked for me. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I hope what I said today made sense. I gotta get my sandwiches made, y'all. That's Concepts with Kimbler. We have to accept reality for what it is. If we have a belief, say I have a favorite submission that I do all the time. And then someone's like, and this is where it happens a lot. Someone that's not always around you is going to pop in. Like, say I ran into someone from Ohio and they just got this whole different look and perspective on the game. And they're like, well, that submission is not going to work because, and they do this one little simple thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I've spent 3 years doing this submission and no one's ever done it. I'm convinced it's going to work. I have to learn to accept, wait, when that hip is shifted that way, this submission does not work. And it doesn't matter if it's fucking me doing it for 3 years or if Billy Bob Thornton out there doing it for 20. It doesn't matter. We have to accept it for what it is. I don't know. It's hard to leave our pride at the door like that.